Have you been doing the wrong stretches for your low back? Maybe you're somebody that deals with chronic low back pain and you've Googled it and you found a bunch of exercises, but it doesn't seem to help. If so, this video is going to be great for you. Hey guys, I'm Dr. Ian from Wellington Family Chiropractic. Today, I want to talk about the number one stretch I see a lot of people try that just isn't that effective for a lot of low back pain. And it's not that this stretch is a bad idea or it's a bad stretch or that people don't need to be doing it in general. I just find a lot of people that come in with either acute or fresh low back pain, or maybe they've been dealing with low back pain for months. They go to this stretch right away, and it typically doesn't work for a lot of low back cases. And the stretch that I'm talking about is bending forward and trying to touch their toes, or propping their leg up on something and just trying to stretch the hamstring. So if you Google low back pain, a lot of times they'll give you a host of exercises or stretches, but they blame a lot of low back pain on tight hamstrings. And while that might be the case that hamstrings do cause low back pain if they're extremely tight, a lot of times people go straight to this forward bending, trying to loosen up their hamstrings, thinking that's going to fix their low back pain, and it doesn't really help. The reason why is the hamstrings in a lot of cases aren't the sole purpose for the low back pain. And furthermore, the more they bend forward, it's actually aggravating the low back. So I'll see this sometimes in people that have low back pain and hamstring tightness. They've gone somewhere or they've Googled it, and they've got these people doing hamstring stretches all day, and they're frustrated because it's just not working. And the reason why is, like I said, common low back pain typically gets worse in certain positions, and for a big majority of the crowd that's positional in terms of low back pain gets worse in certain positions, flexion or a forward bending constantly throughout the day is something we do anyways, but if you're adding in that stretch, it's just really not addressing what's going on with the low back. So what would I rather see you try? Again, we don't have to get rid of stretching hamstrings because it is beneficial. But what should you try to address your low back pain? The very first thing I would try is doing lumbar extension exercises. So those are very easy to do, and all you have to do is just grab onto your low back, spread your feet apart, keep your legs straight, and just bend back as far as you physically can go, and that would be 1 rep. And I have patients try this, and I'll have them do 10 reps at a time, up to 6 times a day, and see if that helps the low back pain. And oddly enough, for a lot of people, they come back and they say, my low back is so much looser just by doing that exercise versus bending forward all day. The other way you can try this out is you can lie on your stomach at home and just press yourself up till your arms lock out and just lay there for a second. Relax your glutes, let your belly sag towards the floor, and then come back down. Up, down. Try this 10 times and see if that helps your low back pain. If it does, it's probably not your hamstring that's causing the problem. So if you have low back pain, give these extensions a try and then retest your ranges of motion. If your low back's much looser, chill out on the forward bending and the hamstring stretches. Start doing more extension work around the clock throughout the day and see what that does for your low back. Now, there is a small percentage of people that actually get better with forward bending. So if you are doing forward bending or bringing your knees to your chest and that relieves your back pain, then keep doing it. But there are a lot of people out there, and a bigger majority of the people that in my office that I see, and I know in general across the nation, that deal with stubborn low back pain, a lot of that low back pain is not going to get better by constantly rounding our low back and forward bending. It's not that that movement is bad, but for these specific cases, they actually need to be getting extension into those joints, and it'll actually loosen up the muscles in the joints in the low back. Sometimes a lot of people can bend forward further with less pain. So sometimes in the office, we'll have people do the extensions and then retest their hamstring tension, and all of a sudden they're bending down farther towards their feet. They can touch their toes, and they didn't stretch their hamstrings at all. That's because it's not solely a hamstring problem. It's more of a joint problem in the low back, and that back needs extension. So next time your low back pain pops up, don't default to just stretching your hamstrings like crazy. Give these extensions a proper, thorough trial period for a day or two and see if that increases your range of motion and decreases your low back pain. And then, periodically throughout the day, it's not a bad idea to stretch your hamstrings to keep them loose. But I find that most people get better with extension versus just hammering their hamstrings all day and bending forward. So remember, if your low back pops up, try the extensions first. Skip the hamstrings for a few days and see how your low back does. I have a feeling it'll help a lot of you out, and I'll talk to you soon.